Alright, here goes. My hands are actually trembling as I type this. I've been sitting on all of this for weeks, holding it in, trying to stay calm, but I just can't anymore. I've reached a point where I need to let it out. Maybe it's because I'm too mad now to bottle it up any longer. Or maybe it's because my phone won't stop blowing up with messages from people who were at that dinner, people acting all confused like they don't understand why I left. Like I just randomly decided to walk out in the middle of a meal for no good reason, while 6 months pregnant. So yeah, let me break it all down for you. From the beginning. No filters, no softening the blow. Looking back, the first red flag should have been how oddly quiet he was when I told him I was pregnant. And mind you, we'd been trying for this. 4 years. We'd gone through 2 miscarriages and a chemical pregnancy. I'd cried in bathroom stalls, in the car, even right there between the aisles at the grocery store. We spent a ridiculous amount of money on apps, ovulation kits, prenatal vitamins that made me feel sick half the time. He was with me through it all. Or, well, at least he was physically present. I really thought we were in this together. He told me he wanted it just as badly as I did. He used to hold me when I broke down after another negative test. He'd say things like, "We'll get there. We always do." So when I finally saw those 2 pink lines, my hands were shaking. I was grinning so hard it actually hurt my cheeks. I even waited a whole day before telling him, just to make sure it was real. I took, for more tests. I even scheduled a blood test to double confirm. And when I finally told him the news, I swear, he just blinked. No smile. No hug. Not even a really? Just one word, okay. I laughed at first because I figured he must be in shock. I asked him, "You're in shock, right?" And he just shrugged and said, "I need time to process." Then he went right back to scrolling on his phone. I remember the screen, it was some Reddit thread about mechanical keyboards. That detail stuck with me. I stared at it too long, trying to wrap my head around how that was more captivating to him than what I had just shared. But I let it slide. Told myself he was just overwhelmed. People can react in strange ways to big news, right? Maybe he was nervous. Maybe he needed time to come around. But then days passed. Then weeks. And nothing changed. No questions about doctor visits. No reaching out to feel the baby. Not even a simple, "How are you feeling today?" Anytime I tried to talk about the pregnancy, he'd either shut down the conversation or just go totally silent, like stone-cold quiet. And for the record, I'm not even the mushy type when it comes to pregnancy. I felt awful most of the time. Nauseous, bloated, bone-tired. My back constantly hurt. I wasn't one of those glowing moms-to-be, I was just making it through the day. And he acted like he was watching it all from behind a glass wall. Detached. One night, I straight up asked him, "Do you still want this?" And all he said was, "I don't know what you want me to say." Then he just walked off and started playing video games. Not angry. Just checked out. I should have confronted it more right then and there. But I was exhausted. Deep down, I started to wonder if maybe it was me. Maybe I was just being overly sensitive. Maybe he was stressed. Maybe it was the pressure getting to him. I told my mom about it, and she said that sometimes men don't bond with the baby until after it's born. My friend Barbara thought it might be anxiety. So I kept giving him the benefit of the doubt. Over and over. And then came the dinner. His sister, Mary, invited us over. She loves throwing those family catch-up nights. She's the type who Instagrams every dish like she's running a food blog and acts like she invented hospitality. Her husband's forgettable. The kids were loud but manageable. His mom was there too, which was unusual, she normally avoids family drama. In hindsight, I think she came on purpose that night. I wore a dress I hadn't been able to fit into for a while, it finally hugged my bump in a cute way. I curled my hair. For once, I actually felt good. I thought, maybe this would be the moment James finally connects. I told myself, maybe seeing me happy, surrounded by his family, would snap him out of whatever this was. I realize now how foolish that was. We walked in, and the awkwardness hit almost immediately. Mary opened the door, looked me up and down, and the first thing she said was, "Wow, you're finally showing." I was starting to think it was a fake pregnancy or something. Then she laughed like it was just a harmless joke. I forced a smile and walked in. James didn't say a word. Not even a quick, "Hey, don't say that." We sat down, exchanged the usual small talk. They poured wine, obviously not for me. The conversation shifted to some trip they were planning for next year, and Mary looked at me and said, "Guess you won't be able to come, what with a baby and all?" And James, without missing a beat, said, "Or without, depending on how things go," and laughed. I stared at him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I remember I was digging my nails into my thighs under the table, trying to stay calm. Then someone brought up baby names. I hadn't told anyone the names I liked, but I finally shared one, just one, and Mary snorted and said, "That sounds like a stripper name." I said nothing. I turned and looked at James. Waited for him to speak up. He didn't even blink. Then he said, word for word, "We don't even know if it's mine." Ever heard of cheating and DNA tests? His mom went pale. "Mary?" She laughed like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. And I just froze. Like I wasn't really in my own body anymore. Like this was some surreal movie scene. But it was real. And it was happening to me. Then Mary, because she's honestly cruel, added, "That kid's doomed with her as a mother anyway." I looked around the table. Not one person said a word. No one told her to stop. No one defended me. So I calmly set my fork down, slid my chair back, stood up, and looked James right in the eye. And I said, "You're right. This baby doesn't need a father like you." Then I walked out the door. Nobody followed me. Nobody even said my name. I got in the car. Drove home. That was 3 weeks ago. Haven't seen him since. He sent one text. Just one. Said I overreacted. Claimed he was just joking and trying to lighten the mood. I didn't respond. His mom messaged too. Said she was sorry things got tense and that family dinners can be stressful. She messaged me asking if I'd be open to meeting her for lunch to clear the air. I didn't even answer. I just blocked her. My mom, on the other hand, is fuming. She told me straight up that if she'd been at that dinner, she would have flipped the whole damn table. She even offered to come stay with me for a while, and honestly, I think I might take her up on it. But here's the thing, I'm not heartbroken. I'm not sitting around crying. I'm furious. Like, how dare he treat me this way? After everything we went through, the years of trying, the heartbreak, the miscarriages, the pain, how does he get to turn around and act like this baby is some kind of inconvenience or, worse, a tool to throw in my face during dinner with his family? I'm the one carrying this child. And he humiliated me like it was some kind of performance. Like it was all a joke to him. So no, I'm not sad. I'm done. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. I'm going to raise this baby without him. I'm going to create a life where my kid never has to grow up watching their mom be treated like she's worth less than the furniture in the room. I don't care what anyone says about being a single mom or whatever label they want to slap on me. My child will never sit and wonder why their mom stuck around with a man who stood by while his sister mocked her. Or who made jokes about paternity like that's something funny to toss around. As for James, he can sit in that silence he's so comfortable with, surrounded by his stupid jokes and his cowardly smirks, and think about why his world suddenly feels so empty. And the part that sticks with me the most? That moment I stood up at the dinner table, it got so quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Like deep down, every single person there knew I was the only one saying what everyone else was too afraid to say. And now? Now I'm making moves. I've got an appointment next week to talk to someone about my legal options, money, custody, everything. I'm covering my bases. I'm not looking for advice. I don't want to hear any "maybe he'll change" nonsense. I'm not interested in any of that. I just needed to say it. Out loud. For myself. I'm not going back. And if he ever wants to be part of my or this baby's life again, he better come crawling, because I'm not sweeping this under the rug. Not this time. The one where James completely humiliated me in front of his family while I was 6 months pregnant. Yeah, that one. The one where his sister laughed in my face and said my baby was doomed. The one where he cracked that disgusting "maybe it's not even mine" joke and just sat there like a lump while everyone laughed. That dinner. I got up. I walked out. And I wasn't bluffing, I meant every step of it. I cut him off. Blocked his number. Blocked his mom. Blocked his demon of a sister. I packed a bag and moved in with my cousin Jennifer. She had a spare room, a mattress on the floor, and a working air fryer, and that was enough for me to start figuring out my next steps. Still pregnant. Still exhausted. Still flying solo. But weirdly, I felt a kind of peace. Quiet, but solid. Then came the weird part. He started showing up, but not in person. At least not right away. About 10 days later, I started noticing stuff. Like one morning, I walked out to the parking lot and found a box sitting on the hood of my car. No note. Just this random box. Inside? A tiny pink onesie with a rainbow on the front. Still in the plastic. Tags attached. Clearance sticker slapped on top. It looked like something he picked up last minute, like he passed a sale bin and thought, yeah, this'll do. At first, I figured maybe it was from Jennifer's mom or someone from her church. Nope. Next day, there was a folded piece of paper taped to the front door. Just 4 words, "I miss you. Please." No name. But I knew that handwriting anywhere. He used to scribble grocery lists on the backs of receipts with that same crooked capital R. So yeah, it was him. Still, I said nothing. I didn't text. Didn't call. Just let it sit. Then the crib showed up. A giant box left outside the apartment. No note again, just the package. One of those fancy convert to a toddler bed models. Grows with your child type stuff. I looked it up online. It was expensive. Which made me even more mad. Like, why spend hundreds on a piece of furniture when you could have just not tried to publicly humiliate me and deny our child in front of your entire family? I lugged the thing inside and left it in the hallway. Jennifer raised an eyebrow but didn't ask. I think she knew I was barely holding it together. And then came the part that really set me off. He showed up. In person. I had just finished a brutal phone call with my insurance rep, trying to figure out how to register for the birth without listing him as the father. Total nightmare, by the way. I was heading downstairs to toss out some trash. And there he was. Just standing there by the mailboxes. Like he was waiting on a delivery. Holding a paper bag with handles, and I could see some kind of stuffed animal sticking out the top. I froze mid-step. He looked up, saw me, and kind of flinched like he hadn't expected to get caught. Then he said, "I just wanted to give you this. And talk. If you're not too busy." Like I'm just leisurely waddling around at almost 7 months pregnant, with nothing going on in my life besides entertaining the man who joked about me cheating and needing a DNA test at a family dinner. I told him flat out to leave. He refused. Said, "Just 5 minutes. Just let me explain." I said no. Again. Then he muttered something under his breath, loud enough for me to hear. Called me dramatic. Cold. Said he was trying to fix things. That's when I snapped. I walked right up to him, snatched the bag from his hand, and chucked it into the nearest trash bin. Didn't even blink. I told him, clear as day, you don't get to rewrite what happened. You don't get to roll up with overpriced baby stuff and act like it was just a bad night, like we're all supposed to laugh it off now. He started scrambling. Said he was sorry. Said he was scared. That he panicked. That he didn't mean it. That he thought I'd get over it. I asked him straight up, what exactly did you think I was supposed to get over? The part where you questioned if this baby was even yours? Or the part where you sat there while your sister basically called me a trash mom? He said it was just a rough night. That everyone was nervous. That people say dumb stuff when they're drinking. I reminded him, nobody was drinking. It was a Tuesday. Mary served lemonade and flavored sparkling water. His mom drove herself home, remember? He blinked at me, like he forgot. When he reached out to touch my arm, I instinctively pulled back. I was already on edge, but what came out of his mouth next sent me into another dimension. He said, I already told my mom we're working things out. She's planning to come visit after the baby's born. I figured we could keep everything under wraps for now, avoid making it a thing. I actually froze. My mouth fell open. You told your family we're back together? I asked, trying to wrap my head around the insanity of that statement. He nodded like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. Like lying about us reconciling was just a practical move, nothing to get worked up about. That's when I slapped him. Not out of fury, honestly, it wasn't even that hard. It was just my body reacting on pure disbelief. Like my palm had more sense than the rest of me in that moment. Then I turned around, went back upstairs, slammed the door behind me, locked it, and slid to the floor. I sat there, stunned, staring at the wall like I'd just escaped a simulation glitch. But of course, it didn't end there. A couple days later, Barbara calls me. Says she bumped into Mary. Yes, that Mary. And apparently, Mary was all sunshine and fake smiles, gushing about the baby like we were best friends. Talking like everything was peachy now. Said she was so glad things were getting back on track and that James was stepping up, just like she knew he would. That was the final puzzle piece. The crib. The clearance onesie. The stuffed animal. None of it was about making things right with me. None of it was about showing up for this baby. It was all a performance. Damage control. A way for James to stitch together a redemption arc so he could keep playing the role of the golden boy. The man who messed up but made it right. I was livid. So I did what I should have done the moment that crib showed up at the apartment. I returned the lie. I loaded that big-ass box into Jennifer's car, strapped it in with bungee cords like it was precious cargo, and drove straight to his mother's house. No heads up. No warning. When she opened the door, she looked surprised. She smiled like nothing had happened. Oh hi. You look well, she said, as if we were exchanging polite weather updates. Is James here? I asked. She said no, he was at work. Perfect, I said. And then I dragged that crib box over the threshold, into her front hallway, and told her flat out, just returning the lie your son sent me. She blinked, confused. What lie? I didn't hold back. He told you we're working it out. That's a lie. We're not. We never will be. And let me be crystal clear, if you or anyone from your side shows up at the hospital or my apartment, or anywhere near this baby when she's born, I will file a restraining order. As I turned to leave, she tried to de-escalate in that tight-lipped mom voice, you're making this more difficult than it needs to be. And I just laughed. Because isn't that always the narrative? Women like me are difficult. We're making a scene. We're too much. God forbid we stand up for ourselves instead of eating the crap served to us with a smile. I walked out and slammed the door behind me. Haven't heard from him since, not directly, anyway. But I know the game he's playing. Word's gotten back to me through mutuals. Apparently, he's telling people I had some kind of hormonal meltdown. That he forgives me for lashing out. That he's being the bigger person. Classic James. He lights the match, throws it, and then struts around pretending he's the fireman. But guess what? I'm not picking up a single piece of his mess. He can keep the furniture. Keep the stories. Keep pretending like any of this was ever about him. Because it never was. He didn't want to be a father, he wanted to look like one. He was in love with the idea of it. The label. The Instagram version. But when it got real, when it meant showing up, being vulnerable, making sacrifices, he crumbled. And now he's trying to duct tape the mask back on. But I've already seen what's underneath. I'm almost at the finish line now. Got my hospital plan. Jennifer's packed. Barbara's lined up to be there when I go into labor. We've built a little team. We're doing this. So yeah, I know I said I was finished with James after the crib stunt and that ridiculous story he spun about us patching things up. And I meant it. I was done. But life had one more twist waiting for me. My daughter was born in early spring. A bit early, but healthy. Strong little lungs, and these big skeptical eyes like she came out already judging the world. Jennifer stayed by my side the whole time in the delivery room. Barbara came the next morning, holding a bag of bagels in one hand and a balloon that said you did it in the other. I didn't tell James. I didn't tell Mary. I didn't tell a single person on that side of the bloodline. I left his name off the birth certificate. And yeah, a few people said that was harsh. That he had a right to know. But the way I see it? He forfeited that right the moment he turned my pregnancy into a public joke. The second he chose his ego over basic decency. I'm not being petty. I'm being protective. So I focused on surviving those early days. They were rough, as expected. Sleepless nights. Bottles, burp cloths, and laundry piles. Formula stains on every shirt I own. I forgot what a hot shower felt like. Coffee was more of a suggestion than a beverage. It was chaos, but it was mine. And then, out of nowhere, I get a message. Not from James. Not from anyone in his circle. It was from Joseph. Now, James and Joseph used to be inseparable. Best friends since forever. Then they suddenly stopped talking, and I never really got the full story. James claimed Joseph got weird. Said he was blaming him for things. I figured it was dude drama and let it lie. So when Joseph messaged me, it caught me completely off guard. He wrote, "Hey. I heard about what happened. I know it's not really my place. But there's something you should probably know. It might explain a lot." I stared at that message on my screen for what had to be 10 minutes. I was exhausted. My daughter was asleep on my chest, warm and soft and perfect. I almost ignored it, thought about just deleting it and moving on. But curiosity got the better of me. So I replied, "Go ahead." And Joseph? He did not hold back. Turns out, back when James was in his early 20s, he got someone pregnant. Not me. Not an ex I'd ever heard of. Some girl he dated briefly, 6 months, give or take. Nothing serious. She got pregnant. She told him. And he lost it. Not just "I'm not ready" lost it. We're talking full-on meltdown. Pleading. Panic. Begged her not to keep it. Said it would destroy his life. Said he wasn't built for fatherhood. Said it would trap him. She ended up terminating. And according to Joseph, James never really moved past it, but not in the way you might expect. It wasn't grief. It wasn't regret over losing a potential child. It was control. Joseph told me that James twisted the entire thing in his head. He convinced himself that pregnancy was a trap, that women use babies as leverage. That fatherhood was just a setup for failure and pain. Ever since then, he's carried around this warped idea that becoming a dad meant getting tricked or tied down. Joseph said he started making these bitter little jokes, at first kind of offhand, stuff about never trusting a positive test, about dodging a bullet. But it got worse. Meaner. Darker. Joseph said he started to worry about it. Said he should have warned me, but he didn't. And yeah, I wish he had. Looking back, it all clicked. When I miscarried, James was supportive, on the surface. But now I can see it clearly, he was more relieved than devastated. He never brought up trying again. Always changed the subject when I mentioned anything baby-related. He'd physically tense up when I showed him cute clothes or shared updates from my apps. He didn't want to be a father. Not even with me. Especially not with me. And the worst part? He never said a damn word. He let me carry all of it, every ounce of grief, fear, hope, while he quietly resented me for wanting something he had already decided was a trap. He made me feel like the problem. Like I was too sensitive. Too emotional. Too much. And then, after letting me drown alone, he humiliated me in front of his family like it was all some sick joke. So I decided to respond. In my own way. I took a photo. Not some polished Instagram post. No filters. No fake glow. It was me and my baby, sitting on the living room floor. I hadn't washed my hair in days. She'd just spit up on my shirt. She was wearing a onesie that said, "Raised by wolves and thriving." The caption? "You said she was a mistake. But she's the only thing I've never doubted." I knew it would find him. I didn't tag him. I didn't need to. Jennifer reposted it. And Mary, who stalks Jennifer's feed like it's her job, was bound to see it. She can't help herself. I knew she'd screenshot it. I knew it would get back to James. Less than an hour later, he messaged me. Said the post was unfair. Said I was publicly shaming him. Accused me of turning his daughter against him. His daughter. I laughed. Out loud. The nerve. I messaged back, "You alienated yourself the minute you joked about paternity in front of your entire family. What exactly are you trying to come back to, the baby you never wanted? Or the image you're desperate to fix?" He left me on read. A few days later, a letter arrived in the mail. Yes, a real letter. Handwritten. Like we were living in a Jane Austen novel. It was from his mother. She said she was concerned. Said she worried about the long-term impact of keeping a child from her father. Claimed James was trying. Claimed kids need both parents. I didn't write back. I didn't call. I folded the letter, slid it between the pages of a baby book I've been making. But not the Pinterest version. No pastel scrapbooking or cutesy milestones. This one's real. Messy. Honest. Screenshots. Letters. Facts. Because one day, my daughter is going to ask. And she deserves truth, not stories that make other people feel better. And now? Here's the twist. I ran into Mary. Of all places, at the store. I was in the baby aisle, grabbing wipes. She was there too, picking up whatever. She saw me. Tried to breeze by like I was a stranger. I called her name. She froze. Turned around. Fake smile. I said, "Hey." She said, "Hey." It was tense. Weirdly polite. Then she asked, stiffly, "How's the baby?" "She's good," I said. Started smiling when I sing off key. "It's hilarious." Mary gave a weak little laugh. Then she said it. "You know James is hurting, right?" I stared at her. "He feels like you're punishing him," she added. I said, "He is being punished." With the truth. She looked taken aback. "You don't have to be cruel," she muttered. And I said, "Neither did he." Then I turned and walked away. Because I don't care if he's hurting. That's not my responsibility. You don't get to treat people like garbage and then whine about the fallout. You don't get to mock something sacred and then ask to be invited back in once it looks good on paper. He made his choice. And now he gets to live with it. I'm not interested in being the bigger person anymore. Honestly, I didn't think I'd ever hear from him again. And I was okay with that. It wasn't even anger anymore, it was just emptiness. Space. He disappeared completely. No texts. No calls. No check-ins about our daughter. Not even a half-hearted "how are you?" Silence. And eventually, I stopped thinking about him. He wasn't part of our world anymore, so there was no space for him in my head either. Then, one day, a plain envelope showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Just my name, written neatly on the front. At first, I figured it was junk. But the second I picked it up, I recognized the handwriting. 6 years had passed. But I knew exactly who it was from. I opened the envelope in the kitchen while the laundry hummed and my daughter brushed her teeth down the hall. I wasn't expecting anything, maybe a half-hearted apology, maybe some attempt at pity. But even with expectations that low, it still pissed me off. The letter said he'd been going to therapy. Said he was sorry. Said he'd made mistakes and wanted to be better. That he thought about our daughter all the time. He wrote that he didn't expect forgiveness, didn't think he had any rights, but if there was any way I'd let him see her, even from a distance, he'd be grateful. I read it once. Then folded it up and dropped it in the drawer where we keep dead pens and expired coupons. A kind of graveyard for things we don't need but can't quite throw out. I didn't respond. Not at first. I didn't tell Jennifer. Didn't tell Barbara. I just let it sit. Not because I didn't know how I felt, but because I wanted to give the feeling space before I acted. After all these years, now he wanted to show up? I didn't buy the timing. It's never random with people like him. They always come crawling back right when the silence gets too loud for them to bear. And I wasn't considering it for him. Or for me. Or even for our daughter, really. I just thought, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing for him to see what he left behind. So I grabbed an old phone, one with a number I hadn't used in years, and sent a message. Saturday. 3 p.m. Lakeside Park. Bench by the willow. You sit. You do not approach. You do not speak to her. You have 10 minutes. He replied about an hour later. Said he'd be there. Said thank you. I didn't text back. My daughter, let's call her Jay, is 6 now. Bright, wild, always curious. The kind of kid who will ask why 5 times in a row before switching topics mid-sentence. She doesn't talk about him. She knows she has a dad out there somewhere, but it doesn't sit heavy on her. It's just background noise. I told her we were going to the park. She asked if we could get ice cream after. That was it. The park was quiet when we got there. Late afternoon sun, the lake still. She ran ahead like she always does, pretending the path edge was a tightrope, arms out wide for balance. I spotted him before he saw us. He was sitting where I told him, on the bench under the willow. Looked thinner than I remembered. Same haircut. Same nervous twitch with his fingers. He was staring at the ground. Then he looked up and saw her. And he froze. Jay didn't notice. She was too busy watching a ladybug crawl across her sleeve, shouting for me to come see it. I walked over slowly. Kept my distance. He stood up, looked like he was about to speak. I stopped a few feet away and said, "Don't." I reminded him, this was the one chance he asked for. And I told him exactly why it didn't mean anything. I reminded him of the things he said. The way he laughed about DNA tests in front of his family. The way he sat there while I was pregnant, silently watching them tear me apart. I told him it didn't matter if he was sorry now. Or if therapy had helped him see things clearer. He left. He stayed gone. And she grew up without him. And guess what? She's doing just fine. He didn't argue. Didn't say a word. He looked like a man trying to hold his bones together. Jay ran up, holding a rock in her hand, beaming. Said it looked like a potato. Asked if she could keep it as a pet. I said sure. She asked about the ice cream. I said yes. As we turned to walk away, she waved at him. Just a casual, polite wave like she does with strangers at the grocery store. I looked back at him one last time and said, "You've seen her. That's more than you earned. Don't contact us again." And we walked away. He didn't follow. He just stood there, holding that image of her. That moment. Maybe he thought seeing her would unlock something. Maybe he thought she'd look at him and know. Or that I would see the pain in his eyes and reconsider. But she didn't. And I didn't. He missed everything. 6 years of scraped knees, bedtime books, birthday candles, art taped to the fridge. Inside jokes, silly dances, tears and triumphs. He missed all of it. And that's what he gets to live with now. I don't feel bad for him. I don't hate him either. I just feel nothing. There's nothing left in that well. He gave us nothing. And he got nothing back. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't try to make him understand. I didn't need to. He saw her. He saw that she's whole. Loved. Herself. And that's all he gets, the memory of her walking away. And honestly? That's enough for me. No, I'm not planning to tell Jay who he was, not yet. Not until she asks. Right now, she's just a happy little human. That's all she needs to be. For the people saying I should have let her talk to him, she didn't want to. She didn't even know who he was. She's not missing a dad. She's never had one to miss. There's a difference. Thanks to everyone who stuck around to read this all the way through. I didn't write it for sympathy or answers. I just needed to let it out. For me. Maybe for someone else, too.